The first thing I was thinking was that why would you want that to disappear if that is your sworn statement of what really happened? Don't you want what really happened to be out there so people can actually see and hear your own words to explain what really happened on that set that traumatized you so much? But Blake Lively's lawyers are saying we don't want this information out there because, the media, they can take little snippets and cherry pick little things here and there and create a new narrative, exactly what Blake Lively did to the New York Times. So they know how that works. So they don't want this deposition to be on the docket. Although at one point we're all going to see that deposition anyway if it goes to court.
I can't be a Disney princess ever.
Oh, Muffin, it's so hard being you.
Katie in KC, where she shared some updates to Blake Lively's deposition, court filings that talked about Blake Lively's deposition, one of which, a unredacted line, made it seem a little juicier than it is. I'm going to play what Katie has to say, and then I'm going to share what others are saying.
They unredacted it. Upon questioning by Friedman at her recent deposition, Lively admitted that the only ongoing smear campaign about which she has personal knowledge involves a retaliatory lawsuit in the press that you, Brian Friedman, have done, and the statements that you made about me and my character.
All right, so yeah, this sounds really juicy, right? Because as she goes on at the 42-second mark, this makes it sound as though Blake Lively is admitting that there's no other smear campaign going on.
So she has no case. So she has nothing. Those claims are going to go out the window, brother.
Imagine being trapped in a no-win game where every move you make looks guilty, even when you're telling the truth. That's the corner Blake Lively found herself in, when nearly 300 pages of her sworn testimony, the kind of private words that can make or break a case, were suddenly dangled in front of the public, only to be yanked away by a judge who accused the other side of staging a public scandal. And here's the twist. In this case, the biggest drama isn't happening inside the courtroom. It's happening in plain sight for the world to watch. July 31st, New York City. Blake Lively walks into the room, flanked by her legal team, her sister, and yes, her husband Ryan Reynolds just down the hall. Waiting for her, Justin Baldoni, his lawyer Brian Friedman, and a small army of legal minds and observers. The room isn't a film set, but the tension, cinematic. This was Blake's long-awaited deposition, hours of testimony under oath about what happened on the set of It Ends With Us, and the chain of events that led to this legal slugfest. Normally, that transcript would be sealed tight, visible only to lawyers in the court. But last week, Baldoni's team attached the entire thing, nearly 300 pages, to a motion opposing a subpoena aimed at their own law firm. Judge Louis J. Lyman took one look and called it for what it was, a stunt. In his words, it was inviting public scandal by attaching hundreds of pages when only 2 were relevant to the actual argument. And that's where the first question hits. Why risk a judge's wrath just to slip a sealed deposition into the docket unless you want the public to know it's there? Baldoni's lawyers claimed their only goal was to defend themselves against accusations that they'd been running a smear campaign. But here's the reality. Legal strategy and PR strategy are two sides of the same coin in Hollywood litigation. Attach a sealed deposition, you send a signal, look what she said, she just doesn't want you to see it. Fight to have it removed, you send the opposite message. What's in there that's so damaging she'll go to court just to hide it? In a single move, Baldoni's team put Lively in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And they knew it. Blake Lively's lawyers went into overdrive.
So for Blake, this was kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation. Because if her team didn't fight to seal this, it could have, come out and things could have been taken out of context. Of course, all of us would have just jumped over it and tried to read through everything and find little bits and pieces here and there that we can talk about, because that happens a lot. And the media does the same thing. Where's the headline here? And of course, they don't want that to happen. And if they did fight it and didn't want it to go public and didn't want all of this information to be public, then it looks like she's hiding something. So I think this was quite a clever move from Justin Baldoni's team, and I think they know exactly what they're doing here.
Not only was the deposition sealed, now they wanted it erased from the docket completely. And Judge Lyman agreed, ordering it removed so it couldn't be viewed at all, even in its sealed form. From a legal perspective, that's a win. But in the court of public opinion, the optics are terrible. Already, rumors were swirling about snippets from the testimony. What she wore that day: black jeans and a navy cardigan. who was in the room, even the way she answered certain questions. On paper, these are meaningless details. But when you're fighting to protect an image, perception is everything, and suddenly, even her outfit became a talking point. Perez Hilton, the original celebrity blogger, is no stranger to controversy. But this time, he's not writing the headlines, he's in them. Subpoenaed alongside Candace Owens and Andy Signor, Perez is accused by Lively's team of being a paid PR pawn for Baldoni. It's an accusation he calls absurd. But instead of sticking to tight, respectful legal arguments, Perez filed court papers in the same snarky tone he uses in his videos. The result? A judge who's openly scolded him for being disrespectful in a formal legal setting. Lively's lawyers are now using his behavior as ammunition, claiming he's not a journalist, a move designed to strip him of legal protections that could block their subpoena.
Ku Klux Khalisi's very expensive lawyers argued last week that because I filed a motion for a protective order in the Southern District of New York, that I subjected myself to the jurisdiction of Judge Lyman. No. Hard no. And because this is not an official court filing, I am allowed to say I think the judge is corrupt, bought and paid for, and clearly biased.
If they succeed, Perez could be forced to hand over every email, text, and transaction related to Baldoni's team. Whether they find anything or not, the damage to his credibility could be permanent. Taylor Swift and Blake Lively have been close friends for years. So when Swift's name suddenly appeared on a subpoena list earlier this year, fans went into shock. The subpoena was quickly withdrawn, but Baldoni's team still managed to secure some of Lively's private text messages with Swift under a protective order. That means they can't be released to the public yet, but they can be used in court. What's in those messages? We don't know. But if they're ever entered into evidence, the fallout could be enormous. Not just for Lively, but for her famous friend. Both sides are playing a long game. Every motion, every filing, every anonymous source leak is designed to build a narrative. Baldoni's camp wants to frame Lively as secretive and controlling the press. Lively's camp wants to frame Baldoni as manipulative, using court filings as PR grenades. The media eats it up, because in Hollywood, a legal battle like this isn't just about justice. It's about who wins the public before the trial even starts. Unless there's a settlement, this case will hit the courtroom in March 2026. Between now and then, expect more strategic filings, more skirmishes over subpoenas, and possibly the public release of that deposition. If that happens, the biggest twist of all might be that both sides regret it. At its core, this isn't just a legal fight. It's a battle over narrative control, who gets to tell the story, and whose version sticks. And sometimes, what's left unsaid in court tells you far more than what's on the record. Because in Hollywood, the truth isn't just what happened, it's what people believe happened. And in this case, the verdict in the public's mind might come long before the judge's gavel falls. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.